If you're a tech professional or entrepreneur with $1 million to $30 million in investable assets, I'm here with the hard truth. The financial system was not built for you. On one side, you have fast food wealth managers that treat you like a number. On the other side, you have billion-dollar family offices that are just too big for you right now. So in this episode, I am going to show you how do you break out of this financial dead zone with the micro family office. I'm going to give you the 5 advantages to micro family offices and how they can help you go from this dead zone to building and scaling a business that's going to give you the lifestyle that you want. Let's dig in. All right, welcome back, Portfolio CEOs. My name is Christopher Nelson. This is Managing Tech Millions. And today, this is the 3rd episode in our foundation series. We have episode number 103 on the mindset of the ultra wealthy. We have episode 104, 2 years, that is the microfamily office. What is the microfamily office? And today, here we are, episode 105, where we are breaking down what are the 5 game-changing advantages of the microfamily office. So you may just be joining going, okay, Christopher, let's take it from the top. What is a microfamily office? Well, a microfamily office is specifically for you, tech professional, entrepreneur, $1 to $30 million in investable assets, where you build a bespoke business around your family's wealth to be able to grow it, protect it, and pass it off to multiple generations. And you do this with the Wealth Ops framework. So the challenge with traditional wealth management, as I teased out, in the intro, is, you're either going to be shoved into a standard portfolio that is not going to give you the results that you want, or historically the family offices have been too big, right? There's single family office requires $100 million. Multifamily office requires $30 million. Now there is for you the microfamily office that offers you the same benefits of a family office at a larger scale, but for your size. Today, I want to overview what are the 5 advantages. So why would you do this? What are the advantages of building a family office around your money, especially this micro family office? Number 1, purpose-driven wealth management. Number 2, operational efficiencies. Number 3, standardized business processes. And number 4, seamless transition or legacy planning. And then number 5, control and ownership. All right, so let's dig in right away. Purpose-driven wealth management. For those of you who have worked, and I know there's a lot of technology employees that listen in. This is Managing Tech Millions, by the way. And I know there's other people who've not made their money through Tech Millions that are interested in what we're doing over here. You're listening in. You are more than welcome. When you work for great companies who have a great culture, what happens? Things scale and grow. People get excited to work there. I remember working at Splunk when we were, really pushing hard to get through our IPO and even beyond as we were scaling to $1 billion. It was an exciting time to come to work every single day because we were rowing the boat in the same direction. It was infectious. Well, I'm here to tell you that the same thing, you can put that same culture, you can put that same purpose into your wealth. That is the power of what's called a legacy statement. This is the difference between a wealth management company that's going to talk to you about your goals and a microfamily office where you write down a legacy statement where you are articulating what is the impact you want your wealth to have on your family and what you want it to have on the world. And that's just like these great companies that we work for. We want to solve problems for people. We want to change lives. This can do the same thing. I want you to think about that for a moment and unlock this. You have the ability to run a business for your family that can be as impactful for as some of those great companies that had amazing culture work for. You can build that culture here, and that's building it through a legacy statement. So when you're able to have purpose around your wealth, you're able to then get excited about doing it. You're more excited about managing it. And it's instead of being a chore and a headache, you realize this is the thing that can unlock freedom. I know for myself, as I've been managing my wealth, as I've exited my W-2, and now my main focus is creating tax efficiencies, generating income so that we can do 2 service trips a year. Service trips are where we go to other parts of the world and we, learn about water poverty, help repair wells, or we actually go into communities and we do construction projects or other things like that. But being able to manage my home office, my micro family office, to be able to execute those kind of trips is incredibly exciting. So this is the opportunity. With purpose-driven wealth, you can create an amazing culture around your family business that can impact change in your community and also at home. And here's the great news. The great news is that when you're creating your legacy statement, you create it with an investment thesis that gives goals to your money. And when you're giving goals to your money, what that is also going to do is goal-oriented investing tends to outperform non-goal-oriented investing by around 15%. They say that if you're just investment-led, if you're just picking investments versus no, I'm actually investing to achieve these growth goals or these income goals, that goal-oriented investing performs 15% better. So there's upside to doing this. So it's important that you understand, number one, purpose-driven wealth. That is an advantage to managing your dollars and your money as a business through a micro-family office. Okay, what is advantage number one of running your own micro-family office? And that is purpose-driven wealth. So let's think for a moment. For many of you that are technology employees, technology executives, and I know there's even others that listen in that while this is managing tech millions, you just want to know how to manage your millions, and that's completely fine. Many of you have been a part of great companies and great cultures. And there's been books written on the fact that if you have a great company culture and things are moving in the right direction, it can have an exponential effect on the company. And the reality is it can have the same effect on your micro-family office, is that giving your wealth a purpose that you and your partner share, you and your spouse share, you and your family shares, that can change the way that you're thinking about it. When you also understand that wealth and the way that you manage it can unlock freedom, time freedom, freedom of purpose, geographic freedom, that can be energizing and create this sort of growing and scaling culture. So when you are running your micro-family office, a part of it is writing a legacy statement where you are documenting the purpose for your wealth, the purpose today, the purpose in 3 years, 5 years, and forever, so that it really has intention behind it. This makes your business more powerful. And we all know, and this is where I want to make sure that you understand that as somebody who is working in a W-2 and is standing up a micro-family office, this can then, even if you're getting burnt out in your day job, if your micro-family office has purpose, then what you're doing today becomes purposeful because you're growing and scaling this micro-family office that can lead to freedom for you and the entire family for generations, right? It gets really exciting. There's also a bonus there in the sense that, when you are setting up your micro-family office, you have a legacy statement and an investment thesis. The investment thesis gives goals to your money, saying that you want it to meet certain amount of returns in certain amount of times. And there is data that says that goal-driven investing outperforms investment-led, meaning I'm just picking investments and hoping they perform, or I don't give them real goals, by around 15%. So having a micro-family office where your wealth is given purpose, where your wealth is given goals, has a distinct advantage of creating a culture around it that is impactful, that is purposeful, and then also it can actually outperform things that don't have it as well. And this is why family offices have been doing this for generations, and they create a culture, and there's many families that we don't hear about that have great culture around their money and the way that they're creating impact. And this is your opportunity to do something different. So that's number one, is purpose-driven wealth management. Okay, advantage number two is operational efficiencies. When you are running a microfamily office, you are taking your investable assets and you are putting them inside of a business structure. That could be an LLC, it could be an S Corp, a C Corp, whatever. Your tax strategist is really going to be the one that advises on what's the best setup for you. But ultimately, when you have that structure, that business structure, that does create tax efficiencies. You can start moving some non-deductible expenses to deductible expenses, right? So you're getting more tax dollars back. You can look at the strategic timing of income versus expenses to make sure that you're reducing your tax burden year over year. This also allows you to ultimately create what's called, tax or structured alpha, where you're really targeting your after-tax return number as your target for what you want to produce for your microfamily office. You can also, there's efficiencies in your cash management where you're moving things around between your entity, between your personal accounts, and where you're actually purchasing things, so that again, you're constantly in a state of where you're looking to save money and reduce taxes that you're going to be paying. Ultimately, too, you're able to, running it as a business means that you are getting profit and loss statements, that you are managing it the same way that you would any efficient company. You're looking to reduce waste. You're looking to be efficient with all of your dollars. So when you start managing your wealth as a microfamily office, you're going to get a lot of the efficiencies that come with running a basic business. This is why I think it's really important to understand that if you are somebody that enjoys running and managing businesses, running and managing a microfamily office is ultimately the same thing. So again, to recap, number one, purpose-driven wealth. Number two, operational efficiencies. So then what's number three? Well, in a microfamily office, microfamily office is a microfamily office because it leverages the Wealth Ops system. So Wealth Ops operating system gives you process standardization, meaning that you do not need to think through how things are going to run. You may want to do some modifications. Of course, this is bespoke, but ultimately you're going to get the framework on how to architect, build, and run your microfamily office. So you want to leverage the same type of techniques that you would use in a high-performing business. You want to be able to take something that works effectively for others. You want to leverage those to work for you. You also will then have very clear metrics and performance measurements. Not 10, not 15, but a core 5 that are going to help you understand how effective you're being in managing your wealth, and moving beyond simple returns to really looking at things like tax alpha and how efficient you're being throughout your particular business is important. These standardized processes comes with a monthly and quarterly review process so that you can essentially manage all of that together in a very standardized way so that you're not missing anything, so that you are being very clear that you are managing your business from end to end. Because ultimately, when you leverage standardized systems and processes, you are treating your wealth as a high-performing business. And that allows you to then decrease the amount of time on the business operations and spending the majority of time in the wealth management where you want to, where you have the opportunity to make the most impact. I think for myself, before I was managing my wealth like a business, it seemed very disconcerting because I would do one piece, I would make investments over here, I was managing taxes over here, but I always thought that there was money that was lost in the middle in transition. Once I moved everything into a LLC, started getting profit and loss statements against it, I started outsourcing all of my bookkeeping. So I wasn't doing my bookkeeping, but I was managing it like a professional with profit and loss statements. That then allowed me to start making decisions like an executive on where I needed to adjust my business, and also how my business was performing over time. This is the same thing for you. This also leads into, so advantage number 3 is business process standardization. But this also leads into advantage number 4, which is seamless transition planning. Now, let me give you some insight here. As somebody who was taking the lead on managing the family finances, before I was managing this as a microfamily office, I would be managing this as a series of investments, and I'm investing because of, and there was always, as I was reviewing this with my wife, Regine, there was always this lack of understanding of, well, why this investment? Why now? It made the conversations arguably more difficult. Now that I'm running it as a business and there's clarity where we can go from our legacy statement to our investing thesis to looking at our performance metrics and understanding, we want to make our next investment as an income investment because we're looking to continue to increase our income over the next 3 to 5 years to replace your paycheck regime. Here is the next investment we're making is why. Here are the different investments we've made in the past, their performance, and why we're choosing this asset class, this particular operator. The conversations make sense. And being able to present a profit and loss statement and being able to show how we're doing in a very clear and concise manner is also very easy to communicate to somebody who is a professional themselves, who has an MBA, who understands how business is run. So I'm teasing out this story so that you understand that most wealth transfers fail or struggle because somebody unexpectedly passes away, or maybe expectedly, like they pass away. And what they're transitioning is they're creating a succession moment that is another symptom of a wealth transfer where they don't understand and they don't know how to manage the money. And so what they're doing is they're getting this wealth overnight and they don't understand where or how to manage it. And so then they become more stressed and they're not passing on something that could actually help somebody else. And so when you're able to actually articulate and you have a business plan, you have, it's in accounting systems, you have tracking for your investments, and you're able to say, I'm passing on a business. This is a functioning business. And my intention, everything wrapped up, is that I'm not dissecting the business, but I'm passing it on. And I've actually been bringing my sons forward and teaching them how to use it. Then they're just taking over the family business that has had training wheels. They've been able to run portions of it, and now they run and own it. That is essentially how a family office operates. Is you're building a business and you're bringing people to it with a common language, with a focus. You're seeing this unfold, like you're really just managing your money in a very systematic way to reach outcomes that you decide on, so that then you can systematically bring people to this common language and they can own and run it. That's the strategy. And this is the advantage of this transition planning. Seamless transition planning is an advantage of running a microfamily office. So number 5, I'd say the ultimate advantage is control and ownership. Control and ownership. I heard a story the other day about a gentleman who had sold his business and was ready to then move on. And what he discovered is that his trusted wealth manager had put his money that he had built in his business into a lot of higher risk investments that I think he may have been choosing at the time, but they were these more complicated, high risk, high octane investments he didn't really understand. And it ultimately did not, his retirement didn't turn out how he wanted to. And in the conversation, it was interesting to me because it seemed like he was not ultimately taking responsibility for the fact that he had hired this guy to do the results. And it sounded like some of this stuff had been happening for years and not been monitored. But I think this is, to me, is a risk that I've seen, is that when you put somebody up and you say, you are the CEO of my wealth and I'm going to focus on my business over here, you need to understand the risk that's associated with that. That's something that ultimately I have refused to do. I do not want somebody else to be the CEO of my wealth. I want to be the CEO of my wealth, because the difference is I am willing to delegate portions of the responsibilities to other people, just like a CEO would, but I want to make sure that I own the result. I also want to make sure that I'm in direct control of my investment management decisions. I want to know where it's going and why. I also want to control the inputs, right? Because I realize it's investing. So I control the inputs, and then I manage and I understand what are the outputs. I also want to make sure and create a log and understand what are the decisions I'm making, which ones were good, which ones were poor, what can I learn from them so that I can pass this information on. And ultimately, I think that when you take responsibility for your own wealth, what I've come to understand is I can unlock the lifestyle a lot easier and a lot faster than I thought I could by outsourcing it to somebody else. And not that I ever completely outsourced. I mean, we had some fee-only financial advisors for a while, but I think it was more of I wasn't just stepping into the ownership seat. I was treating it more like a hobby, and I wasn't treating it like a CEO. And that could be you too. I know that there's plenty of people in technology who've built considerable wealth, and they're stuck. They're frozen because they are in this no man's land, and they don't want to go to a fast food wealth advisor and just get in the standard growth portfolio. They see, multi and single family offices that are out of reach, and they're stuck. Well, this is your opportunity to leverage a tried and true system of wealth ops to run and scale your own micro family office, so that ultimately you can be the CEO, have the control and ownership yourself, and then also start bringing other people along for the journey and bringing some more of the family ownership to get people bought into this vision that we're running a family wealth business, that we want to grow and scale to create impact after we're gone. And ultimately, this is truly what changed everything for me, is when I went from a hobbyist to no, I am actually now, as I'd learned enough and I realized that I had to start setting and creating the vision, I had to start managing this like a business if I wanted it to perform like one. This was arguably the biggest decision that I made that changed the trajectory of my wealth. And the reality is you can do it too. You can make this decision too. Because as I've stated before, running a wealth management company is not a wealth rocket science company. It's not even a wealth technology company. It's not that complicated. It takes some work. And a lot of the things that technology employees do in their day job are much more complicated and sophisticated. This is truly what it is. It's managing. It's just keeping an eye on it. And when you're working with a system that helps you decrease the amount of time in operations and help you focus more on the wealth management, the truly enjoyable part of this business, that's when things get really fun. Let me recap them all. Let me go through them. Number one, the advantage, purpose-driven wealth. When your wealth has a purpose, it will give you exponential returns because of the goodwill that it generates between you and your family, creating a great cultural business around your wealth. But then also it is proven that whether it's goal-oriented, purpose-driven, it will perform better. Number two, operational efficiencies. When you're running a microfamily office as a business, you will get tax efficiencies, you will get cash efficiencies, you will be able to get more out of your dollars. Number three, standardized business processes, right? When you're running a microfamily office based on wealth ops, you are going to get standardized processes, so you don't even need to think about that. You're focused on getting to execution. That speed of execution that helps. Number four, seamless transition planning, whether that's to your partner or spouse, whether it's to the next generation. You're going to have a common language around this business that you can communicate that will allow you to then pass on this business to the next generation. And it's not just a collection of investments, but they will be able to see through all the documentation, through all the setup of this is an actual business that's moving on to the next generation. And number five, ultimately, control and ownership. It allows you to sit in the CEO seat and to manage the inputs and to control the inputs and manage the outputs. right? Which is so important because then you are ultimately the one that can lead your family to the success that you want. And I think that's so important. The ultimate outcome here is for you to create a wealth management process that serves you in your life and is able to unlock the lifestyle from the wealth that you've created. This is truly what I want for you. So thank you so much for listening. That is the end of this episode. These are the 5 advantages for running a microfamily office. My name is Christopher Nelson. And if you are interested in learning more, we do run monthly masterclasses. If you go to wealthops.live, you can apply now. We'll see you next week.